Welcome to this week's episode of Slow Loved Unravelled. Slow loved.
In the past.
I'm Holly.
I'm Isabel.
And we have a special guest today, our Pringaling-a-Ding-Dong.
Pringo.
Pringo he's our ads manager. So we thought he would be a really interesting person to interview for anybody who is got an interest in, obviously, there is a broad spectrum of different kind of digital ads, but we use them a lot, as you guys have probably seen our ads. So we thought it would be quite an interesting one, especially as we don't really understand. I probably understand a bit more than Isabel.
I mean,
but
I think you sound a lot more than me. This is not my remit, not my forte. I understand a very small amount, but
I bet
you're pretty
out
good
in a meeting though.
Yeah.
You'd be able to bluff your way through.
Yeah. You're pretty good. You're pretty down with the kids.
I mean, I didn't know how to log on to our dashboard, but
Yeah, that's okay. From that point. Yeah, other than that, we're good. You're flying.
Okay.
I think what we'll do is I am going to very much be question master in this pod because, as aforementioned, I am not au fait with ads, other than from kind of a budgeting point of view. So I think before we get into the nitty gritty with Ben, I think it would be a really interesting thing to talk about how you first broached ads as a business, because it was all very organic content. You got such a naughty smirk on your face. Every time I look over, Holly's like trying not to. We haven't been with each other for a whole week, so it's like all of our Christmases have come at once today.
Actually, I went to the outdoor pool yesterday with my sister and my nieces and my daughter and mum. And when we got to the pool, they were like, "Oh, it's really muggy and warm." And I was like, "Blah blah blah," and I was like, "Oh God, I've got my swimming costume on already. It's giving me such a wedge." And then we were just being rude, and my mum was like, "Oh, you're in one of those moods."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." And
my favourite mood.
One of those moods now. Ben's like basically
get me out of here.
A lamb to slaughter.
Let's talk about how you first decided it was a good point in the business to broach into paid ads, because it was really organic content and growth until a certain point. And then what was it that tipped you into being like, we need to actually start doing paid ads?
I'd trialled ads myself when I had pre-loved edit, but and this will be the same for anybody who's got a second-hand e-commerce website. It was the most frustrating thing to do because I was only boosting ads at the time, which is how you did it, but it was like I had one unique product. So then it would get the name out, but all it would cause was frustration because people would be like, "I can't see this on your website. It looks like it's sold out." So in the end, I was like, this is too frustrating for everyone because I've only got one thing. And then when I started Slow Love and was working with Abby, we were doing the content, it was a lot of trial and errors to see what type of content would work for us. And then certain things would perform really well. But I think you would still see small brands doing quite glossy ads. And I think at the time I was like, oh, no one's that bothered about seeing me, doesn't wear any makeup, in my gym gear with a feel-good jumper on. But that kind of stuff always just performed really well for us. And then we were sort of selling, we had a couple of products at that point, and they were selling well, but it wasn't until we did a collaboration and sort of had a wider access to a broader range of customers. And I was like, if I had access to this range of customers and people love our knitwear, then we would be flying. And I think that was the thing. So I'd started to interview agencies, but it was the most painful process. So, and we will talk about that later, but it was when I found the first company I worked with, instantly it was I think the turnover triples almost, because we were just reaching this broad range of new customers. There's all the sort of retargeting stuff, which I don't really understand. I mean, I do understand the concept of it, but I wouldn't know how to implement that in the software. But we were sort of suddenly had this like reach of people, which was beyond our following and my pre-loved edit platform. So that was why. And it instantly became so successful in that sense that we didn't actually have enough knitwear to keep up with that demand.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I was just about to say, it was when the point you made about pre-loved edits, and ultimately you were advertising one product and you didn't have that again. We made that mistake when we were, do you need to cough? Get it out now. Okay. So when you were ultimately creating an advert for one product and then you just got an influx of emails being like, I want this product, but I can't find it. We made that mistake when we were working. We had quite an established relationship then with the initial ad company. That was one of the biggest teething issues, is that we were pumping out ads for products that we didn't even have in stock. And I'll come back to that. So when kind of rewinding it back then, finding an ad management company, Holly, a lady Holly knows, we did some consultancy work with her. You guys together went and interviewed a load of companies, and it became apparent very soon on that they were all coming at you with just you need this enormous budget to even start, which was off-putting.
That was actually before I was looking with Vicky. That was before I'd met Abby. I was interviewing individual like social media managers and ad companies, and they all were like, you need this insane budget. And lots of people didn't even return my emails or phone calls. And then with Vicky, it was like, it was ad agencies, which I'm sure there are some that we just hadn't contacted who are amazing.
Yeah.
We went through like a load. I went over the website and looked to see if I had how I felt and what my gut feel was, like who their clients were. Did they seem like well aligned with us? Was their pricing transparent? All that stuff. And then when we narrowed it down and had interviews with people, it was really interesting because there was one where they were such big boys. We weren't big enough for them really.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, it didn't feel like an organic fit.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like they really got who we were. And I can pick that up in people so quickly.
Yeah. Because
they would they'll talk to you about the knitwear, and they either get it or they don't. And it's a really quick, like, I don't think this is going to work. Or there's stuff that's said where you're like, you obviously haven't got a sense of who we are, or you've not spent enough time looking into it. So it was a really good exercise for us to do.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't.
So we ended up landing on a company who they were really small, a couple of very young lads, and they were a 2-man band. And you guys had a really open and honest discussion about the budget, and they were really happy to take it on with that budget in mind. They were very upfront about not creating the creatives, wasn't their thing.
Yeah.
So Holly was creating the creatives, sending them with Abby, sending them to the company, and then that's kind of how it was working. And I think it's fair to say that it really ran away with us in the first year, didn't it? Yeah. As in, it was, at that point, we were probably a hire or two too short. So that was still at the time when we were all doing everything. And there wasn't a cohesive enough management on doing regular stock checks. So there were times, as I mentioned earlier, that we were running ads on products that we didn't even have, and they were just, people were still clicking on them, so it was still generating so much ad spend, and then it was that kind of
we basically spent so much money on ads, had run out of stock, then really over-ordered stock, but because everything takes so long to be knitted, it was like we were left with huge gaps of time where we had no product.
Yeah.
It was
realising is the word I was just trying to hunt for. Realising that actually there needed to be a much more cohesive management of everything that goes into, you know, it's not let's create an ad, forget about it. It's actually, it needs to be looked at almost daily.
Yeah.
Is that, would you say?
Yeah. Daily, and things weren't aligned, were they? So thousands of pounds are being checked down the drain every month.
Yeah. And even on things like something that Ben does for us now is there being a very considered spend in different ad streams. So first of all, we were just doing Meta, which worked amazingly well, but then there was kind of more, there's different elements to those things, which there was a very clear point where Abby, when in true Abby style, was like, we can do this. So Ben is the other half to AB Social. So Abby, as you have all know, runs all of Slow Love's marketing and social media. So Ben is her other half, both in business and outside of business. They're actually getting married.
Yeah, they're our first Slow Love wedding.
Yeah, Slow Love wedding, that's what it is, isn't it, Ben?
Yep, can't wait.
We can't wait to be there at the altar with you both.
Yeah.
Isabel's going to have a skinhead, apparently.
I'm just teasing it shorter and shorter. So there was a very definitive moment where Abby sowed the seed that they could tackle the ads. So at what point then what did you guys do as AB Social when you kind of thought we could do this?
Well, obviously Abby had been, I don't know how long you've been working with Slow Love for. It must have been about a year.
It must have been more than that, yeah.
And I'd helped out with quite a bit of stuff, like whether it's reels or like captions or whatever. So I had to go and understand the business anyway. And Abby, obviously, I think Abby had access to the ad account for like the last 3 or 4 months that the other company was running them. So I looked at it and stuff, and so I was sort of gaining the grasp of what was going wrong and what we could do better with. So we essentially we came in and just looked at the budget and everything. We just realised just spending far too much, and that's what your consultant said as well, didn't they? They were doing a good job, but it was just at the end of the day, for the position that the business was in, it's just far too much was being spent, and we could have reduced that and increased the return on ad spend, which we've since done, and sort of and distributed it across different platforms. So obviously we started
Pinterest and Google.
And Google was really important because you've suffered with people with fakes and stuff, and on the shopping ads. When you search Slow Love, your products weren't showing up, but the fakes were.
The fakes were,
So that was a pretty obvious thing that we need to do. And now if you search, it's just we've been running some performance max campaigns and search campaigns and stuff, and that's managed to rank us top. So it's basically just distributing the spend, bringing the spend down, but then distributing it across different platforms.
Yeah.
While increasing, obviously there was going to be a drop off in revenue, but if we could increase the return on ad spend and then start scaling up again, which we did.
Yeah.
It's like fishing, isn't it? It's like instead of casting your net out, just like in the middle of the sea, wherever, to try and catch what you can. This is a much more like considered approach to fishing. Essentially what it is, and then the fish that you catch or the customers are the ones who are more likely to spend with you. So it's like our conversion rate goes up. So we've been doing, it's been is it a year, 9 months-ish, where you've started with Google, just sort of it's like the tweaking of everything so it's like a sturdier base. So now that, because it isn't just the ad spend that causes that slight disruption when things do really well, and it doesn't, when we talk about this, we always say it is a good problem to have, but it is a problem because if we don't have any stock, we have to stop that ad, and if the ad's performing well and Ben's done a good job of getting this great performing ad working for us and we run out of stock, that's our fault, that's not his fault. So it's like a constant cog that we're trying to learn how to do our production more efficiently. We don't have a crystal ball, but
and so for example, we've also like recognizing, so you mentioned about there not being enough stock or whatever, but also recognizing when the stock's low. And yeah, we could spend £100 cost per purchase on Meta ads on say a £300 item, but actually they're going to go out organically anyway for the next month. Why spend £1,000 on getting rid of those when they'll go out organically, and the spend could be distributed to things where there's more in stock. So and obviously with marketing, like, testing's really important. So testing the different platforms was really important. So obviously we started with Pinterest with a low budget and then slowly scaled that. And then actually thought, let's strip that back a bit and put more into Meta. Because Meta is a higher converting platform, really. Pinterest is a whole different ball game in terms of it's more of an exploration platform, but it still converts well.
It's really funny when we talked about Pinterest a lot, because I love being on Pinterest. It's almost like it's how I do sort of a style, like trend forecasting. My way is just to like absorb myself on Pinterest. So I think it's really important for us to have a good presence on there. But yeah, like you say, it doesn't always get people over the edge the way that Meta does.
I remember saying Holly was sort of questioning the return on ad spend at the start, and I was like, how many times should I actually go onto Pinterest and buy straight away? And the answer is barely ever, if ever. So it can sometimes take up to sort of 30 to 90 days for someone to convert, because they add it to a mood board or something, and then they go back to it, and then they still might not convert.
I use it as like a styling search engine, really. So I'll be like, there's something that I just bought, it's not arrived yet, and I've basically, if I want to see how it would fit in within my sort of styling, so it is something that's secondhand. This is also a bit of a vintage hack. I will look it up on Pinterest. I'll see how people have styled it in street style. I'll see if it's been used in any films or TV programs, like how has it been styled, and then I look at like a bajillion photos, and then I purchase, but I don't purchase through Pinterest.
So I feel like we have steamed on ahead. So just rewinding it back again, when you first started we were really open and honest with the ad company that we were working with prior to Ben coming in and managing the ads. And then there was kind of like a crossover period where we were winding that ad company down and Ben was ramping up into Slow Love. And we did have there was the benefit that he had been working alongside Abby across all of her clients. So he did have a really good understanding of the brand before running our ads. And then so kind of learning the ropes. So if you had any tips for people who are just starting, or they don't have the luxury of bringing their ads in-house, if they are
starting as an ad manager,
or just starting as an ad manager, or brands who are broaching into ads, what are the kind of things that what should they be focusing on learning or getting to grips with in those early stages? Or if Holly was going, scale it back, and if Holly was going for her first meetings with ad agencies, what would you say for people to be like, this is what you need to get a really good grasp of? So if you are, say you're a business owner, so imagine you're Holly. Immediately hilarious. Imagine you're Holly and you are you're approaching ad agencies to manage your ads. As a business owner, what do you really need to have a grasp of and an understanding of before you go to those agencies, and to make sure that you kind of get the most beneficial relationship you can?
I think from, say for example, if Holly was going to an ad agency, she needs to, and what they'd want from her as well, you need to have a budget set out. So, for example, I'd say you need to think of it as if you were going to put X amount into it, and you wouldn't mind if you weren't going to get any return. Okay. Because at the end of the day, obviously, you might put £500 into it, and especially if you were going to do it yourself, you don't at the start when you don't know what you're doing, you might need to be a little bit cautious about where you're putting it. But at the end of the day, you're not guaranteed returns. Obviously, ad agencies will guide you on this, but then also they have an incentive to. A lot of ad agencies basically charge as a percentage of either ad spend or return on ad spend, so revenue conversion value. So I think you need to be wise to the fact that you don't actually need to go all in with your budget to start out with.
So start small,
and you need to be strong with that. Some ad agencies might have a minimum, but there'll be good ad agencies out there that won't. have a minimum, and we'll, as long as you show a willingness to scale.
Yeah.
Once they show you results, and then also I think is ability to, because if you have an ad agency that, for example, like you guys, they didn't, the other one you had didn't, they weren't local, were they?
No.
So you need to be able to produce content for them.
Yeah.
Because they can only do so much in terms of make statics and
Yeah.
piece together content that you send them, but you need to be able to produce regular content for them. And to get the most out of what you're going to do, if you can't produce regular content for them, it's gonna stagnate, and that's what you guys saw with the other guys.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's not their fault necessarily. Into what you said about them not being a creative ad agency, that's a bit of a red flag for me, because ad agencies should be the whole package. They should be able to make the creatives. Yeah. While also understanding the platform. Yeah. So yeah, that would be another thing. Don't go with an agency or I'd recommend you don't go with an agency that say or label themselves as not being able to make creatives. Yeah. Because that's,
unless you've got the capacity to make the creatives regularly in-house.
Yeah, but even then, there's going to be agencies out there that I imagine will be able to do both. Yeah. And because the creatives are 80-90% of Meta ads. Yeah. Well, Pinterest ads as well. Yeah. Okay. Again, it depends on different platforms. So if you're going with a pay-per-click agency, then it's different. And then a Meta and Pinterest agency, they're different. But yeah, so I'd say establish your budget and be like strong on the budget, and then also just be really careful about who you go with and interview plenty. Weigh out the pros and cons.
You also just something that I will interject with is I've always been really cautious about being tied into a contract, because a lot of agencies will try and make you sign a contract for 6 months or even a year. And it's just, if they want your business, obviously you guys haven't done this, but if an agency wants your business and you are worried about that commitment, you always can negotiate the contract, because they do want your business. So I've always done that. I've always just been like, I'll sign it for 3 months, and then at least you can look at that figure that you're giving them and be like, worst case, I know I can afford that 3 months. If you're nervous about being tied into a year, just negotiate it.
Yeah, and I should probably also touch on what I mean with regards to they charge a percentage of ad spend. So for example, say you were starting with a budget of £1,000 per month, and plenty of ad agencies they charge 10 to 20% of your ad spend, which so obviously that's an extra £100, £200 on top of your budget. So if your budget's sort of limited and every sort of penny matters, it's another something to consider. It's another 10-20%. Or they'll charge a percentage of revenue, which is seen as a win-win. So basically on the ads dashboard, you see how much the ads are generating in terms of conversion value. So say if you put £1,000 in and at 8 times return on ad spend, £8,000 they charge 10% of that. That's another £800. Yeah. So yeah, just be wary. Obviously, a lot of agencies will say we can get this return on ad spend, but when you dig deeper, you've then got to weigh up your profit margins, and then take away the ad spend and any percentages they're taking. So while it looks great on the front of it, and it will be great if you choose the right one, just be careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry. I think it's just really worthwhile. If you are employing, I'm only seeing this from my side, obviously, but is to just learn what all of these words mean. So when you have these meetings, unless you have someone, so the first time I was interviewing, I had learnt the basics myself, so I couldn't do to the extent, obviously, that these guys do, but I knew enough about it that I felt that the wall couldn't be pulled over my eyes with it.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
And Vicky, when we had the meetings with those much bigger agencies, she had dealt with that size agency before, so she knew how to... Yeah. So one of them that was definitely trying to get us over the line, the bigger one, there was a lot of... they did a lot of what they called like workshops and things like that, where you sort of have these things, and it's a really good way for them to find out how much money you've got to play around with, and you know, whether like who to put you with, and I think you just have to be very aware of obviously what your end game is, but what their end game is as well.
I want to touch on the point as well, because I do think it'd be really interesting point for the listeners, is you've spoken about when you first start ads, you need to be prepared for your return on ad spend in the early stages not to be huge. And am I right in saying that an ad has to kind of, you talk about it like learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that a bit?
Yeah, so the more developed your ad account, our ad account is, well, it must be 3 or 4 years old now. So that's sort of like, there's so much information on it because it's had millions, tens of millions of impressions. But at the start, when you're starting with a fresh ad account, essentially Facebook has to learn about your ideal customer from scratch.
Yeah.
So obviously you install a pixel which is linked to your website, which basically tracks customer data and behaviors. But you need conversions, add to carts, page views, and then for Meta to work out who's clicking on, who's converting, who's not, who's checking it out.
Yeah.
And that all takes time, especially with a new ad account. So again, starting with a low budget is good because it allows for Meta. It will make mistakes at the start. The pixel and the ad account and the algorithm will make mistakes in terms of putting your content out to the wrong people.
Yeah.
But it does learn quickly. But again, starting with a low budget is good. If you were to go in at a high budget, you're basically just going to be chucking money to people that aren't interested.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why you should start low. I'm not talking like the minimum £5 a day, but just be wary. Like make it, and then just scale accordingly. Well, you can scale within a month.
Yeah.
Also, when we first started, the Facebook ad account was being capped because they were basically like your account's so new. Because I ended up actually getting hold of speaking to somebody at Facebook, which I know is nuts. And basically what she said was your actual account is in its infancy and we cannot allow you to spend as much as you are being capped because we don't want you to spend too much too quickly because it won't be learning properly.
Yeah. So they're quite good with that, putting certain restrictions in. But yeah, so it needs, and it's the same with every ad because every ad's different that you put out.
Yeah.
A lot of targeting nowadays is just broad targeting, so you just put it out and just let Facebook do the work.
Yeah.
But you can obviously target people with such niche interests, like you can target people that enjoy wearing black knitted jumpers, for example.
Yeah.
But broad targeting when your ad account is fully, I do it at the start as well because it's just the quickest way for your ad account to learn.
Yeah.
And like I say, it will make mistakes, but it'll get there. Yeah.
God, it's such a minefield, isn't it? There's so much information to learn. But I feel like that's such a good nugget of knowledge for somebody starting out because I feel like there'll be so many brand owners out there who think it's like a little bit of a magic answer that they're going to throw money into ads and it's just going to return them the goods. And it's, I think, knowing that it doesn't work like that and having that, it's almost a bit like investing, isn't it? It's like you need to be prepared. Your budget needs to be money that you're not necessarily going to get a return on investment on immediately. So you need to be able to sit with that.
And also don't expect it just to do the work for you once you upload it. It's like that in itself, like Ben's always tracking it. And like the other day you were saying, we put this a couple of ads up and you were like, it's doing really well at the moment, but this sort of pattern means it will slowly start increasing and it will get to a point where you won't be making any profit on this because it's costing too much for what the profits on that product. So we need to keep reining it in, and then also just like the constant fresh content and creatives. Like each week now you guys have your meetings and Abby will have a list of things that we need to change things up. So it isn't like you can upload an ad and then just stand back for a couple of months and like let it do
run.
Its thing.
Ads are fatiguing quicker than ever. So before, like a year or two ago, ads were maybe we could run for 2, 3, 4 weeks and have consistent performance. Now you're seeing like ads over 3 or 4 days are dropping off. And
why do you think that is? Is that just the nature of how we're digesting content now? It's just like quick scroll past. I want it that immediacy, fresh stuff.
And I think like people, so obviously people will scroll and people are scrolling more and they're on their phones more. So obviously how Facebook would do it is they give you when you're scrolling down your Facebook, for example, you'd have like one of our ads and then you'd scroll down for another like 10 seconds, then you'd have another one of our ads or some other company's ads.
Yeah.
But people are going onto their phones more, so they're seeing the ads more.
Yeah.
And so the frequency is higher, which means that it's not fresh content, so it's just boring content essentially for people.
Yeah.
It's like if someone was to see the same organic piece of content for the first time, they're like, wow, that's great. For the second time, they're like, oh, I might watch it again. And then for the third time, they're like,
seen it,
I've seen it, I don't want to see that again.
God, that is so bonkers.
So, yes, it's yeah, I mean, we've had one ad that's generated since we launched it. I think at the start of the month, it's had 88 purchases at something like £30 to £40 per purchase, and that isn't dropping off. I actually thought it would start tailing off, but you do get these odd winning creatives that sometimes will just keep consistent. But then there's other ads that we've sort of tried to recreate it with different products, and they haven't done well.
Yeah. So it's a real chicken and egg. It is, as Holly said, it's a real. You can't just pump stuff out there and just sit with it. It is a constantly moving beast. Test. I mean, I think we Slow Love are in a very fortunate position where there was a very definitive point where it made so much sense to bring it in house, and we'd hired Shah, who was able to take a certain amount of time away from Holly, especially, so you weren't having to constantly be on, sort of customer service facing so much anymore, and you could really focus on and now we have a weekly meeting, and Ben is physically in the office with us once a week, desperate to be here more, part of the girl gang,
desperate to have me more.
Yeah. Oh, who's right? Who do you reckon's right? Who's right, Abby?
You guys love each other really, but you also hate each other really.
So having Ben physically in the office, we try to go over, Holly and Ben and Abby will sit with each other and really look into the nitty gritty of what ads are currently working. We'll look at stock levels, we'll look at budgets, and those really regular meeting points I think are really important and have been pinnacle in the success of the way our ads are now running.
And also what's coming. So
that's another
we've obviously
real
got a calendar
bonus.
We've obviously got a calendar on the wall that has every drop that's come in, so it's really really good for me to be able to see what's coming, and we can just plan around that. I mean, we're in a lucky position now that a lot of the drops aren't requiring any ad spend, in terms of the fact that they're selling really really quickly, and we're just like, let's just let this go organically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing also when we say we don't pay for these, we do technically pay for the subscription, but they're newsletters.
Yeah.
When you think about how they convert and how well they work for us with the engagement, it's definitely something as well alongside paid ads that you need to spend time building.
Yeah.
So that's for newer businesses, that's something I'd really recommend is
doing it for
having some. Are you on about the Klaviyo newsletters? Yeah. So having some sort of paid ad campaign that encourages signups.
Yeah.
Because essentially what you're doing I know what you said about the subscription, but essentially what you're doing every time you get a sign up is another direct person to shove your content out in front of.
Yeah.
We're lucky with Pinterest that you can link Klaviyo and Pinterest, so you can basically push ads out to your mail subscribers that have Pinterest.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Do you want to just quickly explain again? I'm just thinking of much smaller brands what Klaviyo is.
Klaviyo is the hiding my cake zero. Klaviyo is the platform that Abby does our newsletters on. So it's where we're growing our list. So I used to see newsletters basically as a insurance policy in case we ever got hacked. But actually now they generate so much. So if we have a drop or anything, we can do secret drops or maybe a secret discount or just updating another way to keep our customers in the loop, especially at the moment with the tariffs and shipping to America, which has been a bit of a nightmare for us. You can segment that and just speak directly to those customers that you want to. So it's really good, and you pay for X amount of people as they're on your list. What did Ogmuse do last year for Black? They did something really clever, and they got an insane amount of sign-ups. Was it just an early access
Early
thing?
access, yeah.
Yeah. So loads of brands do that. Represent do that.
Yeah.
And have different like membership clubs, I think, for different like access points to sales.
But yeah, so that an ad campaign that was targeting sign-ups, you'd obviously wouldn't see a direct return on investment.
Yeah.
In terms of revenue, but what you would be getting is you'd be getting
long game stuff.
10 to hundreds of people that would be signing up that you can then, if you think about what you're spending in the long term that they could like the revenue they could convert into.
Yeah.
Again, you need to project it all, but it's another thing to think about if you're a new business owner.
Would you, if you didn't have, from a business perspective now again, if you didn't have the luxury of bringing your ad management in-house, would you say it would be beneficial to, if you were using agencies, to have your social media and ad agency as one rather than two separate? If you didn't have your social media in-house.
Yeah, because then...
Abby's nodding profusely. She's either nodding or yawning, but we're yet to have a yawn today. But
it's not your podcast.
Alright.
Fine.
Yeah, definitely. Because then everything's aligned. Like, that's the thing. So, for example, obviously the social media agency will be creating content. But then they could also manage in terms of getting UGC content from different creators, influencers, whatever. And it's just one less sort of like I said, everything's aligned, and it just means that
it's one less meeting to have to like join the dots. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Are you seeing now? Are there more and more social media marketing agencies that are introducing ads as part of their offering, or is it still? Do they tend to be more separate?
Yeah, I think a lot of. I think what normally happens is you've obviously got the big agencies that will do it all, so do everything. But I feel like the guys that have started out, or ladies that have started out as ad agencies, won't touch the social media, because in terms of how much money you can make out of the social media compared to the ads, when we speak about the percent that they can charge percentages of ad spend and revenue, for the amount of work that they have to do and go out and see clients and stuff, or don't have to go out and see clients. Yeah. They don't want to touch it. But for the social media guys, I feel like the ad side of things is a really good market for them to get into, because obviously they have the knowledge of what works on social media. Yeah. But yeah, big companies obviously do it all. But I feel like a lot of social media agencies will start touching on the ads, but maybe not the other way around.
Yeah. So, to wrap it up, if you're ready to wrap it up, what would you say your top tips were for, let's do it from like you and like managing ad perspective, like managing ads, what would your top tips be?
So if I was going to speak to Holly for the first time and say what I think she should be doing.
Can you handle it?
I actually have to tell this story. It was really funny. So the first ad agency we used, they were, sorry Ben. Okay. They were two really young guys, and when they were talking to Holly about increasing the ad spend, they kept on using the term "if you can handle it," and we just found it really amusing, because there was this young guy working from his bedroom asking Holly if she could handle it, and it really tickled us. It was so funny. So we got off the call and we were singing that song, "Can you handle it?" It was funny. Anyway, sorry Ben.
Got it all out?
I have, sorry. Ben's top tips if you were speaking to Holly for the first time. Go.
So I wouldn't ask if she can handle it, because I'd assume that she had already worked out that
she had a handle on it. Yeah,
she had a firm grip on it. Yeah. You want to test. Like, that's the main thing with ads, is testing as much as possible, as offering as many different offers as possible. So by that I mean even like a buy now pay later with Klarna or ClearPay is an offer, because it's obviously something else that's going to incentivize people to convert.
This is so if you're creating ads, you mean having that? I don't know what you mean there.
I'm on about. I'm giving you stuff on if you wanted your ads to perform as well as possible.
Yeah.
Can I just say, if you are going to use Klarna as a hook, there are very specific rules and regs when you use the Klarna as a hook. They send that all to you when you sign up with them, but basically you have to basic. It used to legally have to say like essentially you're taking on debt at your own limit in the caption and stuff like that. So just FYI.
Where were we? Yeah. So offers. Yeah. So offers. This is in terms of on the actual ad as opposed to on the creative.
Yeah.
So offers in the copy or in the headline.
Yeah.
So like sign up to receive 10% off. That would be off for a mailing list. And then any offers you have. In terms of creatives, try statics, UGC, and just as many different types of creative as possible. Whether that's video. Send products out to influencers. That we found that works really well. Get a different face on the ads because of and
so you'd say a good way for them to test that anyway. It's like you say, that is all testing, isn't it? So it's like you need to basically look at what works for you organically, and then maybe try and replicate what works for you as an ad.
And something that's quite advanced. This and it's sort of if you're branching out into different locations, but it's to localize things. So this would be sort of advanced, and we haven't, because obviously the US things with the tariffs and everything, we haven't really. But so what I mean by that is if you were to go to the US, is to get, if you're having UGC creators, have American UGC creators.
Yeah, okay.
So people recognise them, and if they're speaking, it's obviously the US accent. So people that if they hear a UK accent, they think, okay, that's the shipping's going to be X amount or tariffs.
That's such a good tip.
So just to localise things, whether it's like I said, in terms of the creators or the accents, or even like the popular. So like when we, when you guys went to New York and Palm Springs, I don't think I was running the US ads too much then, but I imagine the US ads would have performed better with those because obviously it's a recognised location. And then just keep.
Just another excuse to go back to New York.
Yeah. Okay. Done. I'm there. I never left. My heart never left New York.
And then track every day. But Facebook Meta can chew up spend, especially if your budget's on the large side, can chew up spend really quickly on certain ads.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you've spent £200 on an item that you're only profiting £100 on. And for small businesses at the start, that can be really detrimental, because then you start to think, oh, is it actually worth it? And then you just cut the ads off completely.
Yeah.
And
there must be so many small brands out there who have just done this. It hasn't been managed for them properly, or that lack of understanding, and they just go, oh, it's just not working, so we'll just stop and wash our hands of it. And it's actually... that fine tuning, which I know does come with time and monetary investment, but it's like you need to say to somebody, they need to have these kind of facts up front, so they're more comfortable and ready to sit with that.
That's
trial
why
and error.
it's worth hiring someone to do it for you if you don't know what you're doing, because ultimately it might be a frightening number up front, although as we've been saying, you do get independent boutique agencies like these guys where yes, you're paying them more money on top of that advertising budget to do it up front, but then if it's being managed by someone that knows what they're doing, that ultimately is going to gain you a lot more in the long term. Isn't that right, Albo?
We had a client that happened with.
What's that?
That you ran their ads and then they took it over and then basically got you to come back and do it.
So do we want to go into that or not?
Name and shame.
I think it's a really good point though, and actually something that you've touched on in previous podcasts with, you've got to spend sometimes to gain. Yeah. If you were doing this, your time would be totally absorbed. It would genuinely take too much of your time. Yeah. But even from if you were doing all the creatives and you hadn't put that over to Abby and Ben, like, you've had to spend money to be able to gain time, which is ultimately is money.
So before Ben was managing the ads, Abby and I were doing the creatives, and it became so hard for me to just spend every day doing new creative. But then also where I was dropping the ball was I wasn't keeping an eye on the stock levels. The guys actually were really proactive, and they would always get back to me if I had any questions within literally 5 minutes. but I just didn't have the time in the day to sort of manage them and that relationship with like coordinating with all of that. So Abby ended up doing that for me, and which I guess is when she was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah. But that in itself then became another job.
Yeah.
And we were all managing everything. Sorry, do you want me to say that?
No, I was just showing Bringer.
She's directing.
Abby wants me to say that this is something we say a lot when, especially when speaking to potential new clients, and we don't actually say it this directly to them, but it's
direct.
Cut through the BS.
But we kind of, in a way, say it to them. When running ads isn't going to save your business. It's not going to shadow paper over the cracks. Essentially, if your business model is flawed, and if your product isn't a winner, basically, then there's only so much that ads can do. They can pump out to new people, and they might find a few people that like the product, but essentially there's a reason why your product isn't selling itself organically, and that is one more thing, is that a lot like 2 or 3 years ago, organic was like, go heavy on organic until you're ready to go into paid. It's really important to don't be neglectful of it, but get into paid as soon as possible, even if it's just a small budget, because you're reaching. You saw this with your following, how much it increased when the budget was higher. Yeah. So what maybe the return on ad spend lacked in actually gained quite a few followers, which was one of the benefits of having the higher budget. Yeah. The following just rocketed, didn't it?
Yeah.
And that's I suppose like a non-monetary
like the
return on investment. Yeah. It is monetary in the end, but as in it's not like tangible readies in the beginning.
It's like when we were talking about the amount that we were spending with our consultant, and it was like, this is a flagging. This is a red flag to me, how much you're spending on your advertising. But it was like, but we don't have a bricks and mortar shop. Yeah. We don't have a retail space. Like, no one knows who we are without us doing this, at least for the first sort of 5 years, really. Yeah. So that we can get ourselves in front of people, because the quality of our knitwear retains our customer service, and the quality of the knitwear retains our customers. But we need to find those customers. They need to find us. So it was like, we had to do it.
Yeah, we had to do it. And actually, if you looked at the actual return on investment from a monetary perspective alone, that spend was, we couldn't carry on spending that for years to come. It was unsustainable. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. But when you then looked at things like the following, the reach, the conversions, all of those things made that spend for us. We were able to basically justify that spend for that 1 year. We then obviously had to refine it and bring it back, but we were able to justify that for reasons Holly's just mentioned as well. So I think, like anything, and we talk about on the podcast all the time, you have to have really honest and regular conversations with yourself, and be, is your product, are you not selling stuff just because you just don't have a product that sells? You need to have that conversation with yourself and be really honest about that. And then when you've got that product that's selling, then get into the paid ads as early as possible. There's no point of getting into paid ads as early as possible if ultimately your product isn't selling, because your product's just not selling. Would you say that was a fair point?
Yeah, and one more thing in terms of for new business owners wanting to run ads for the first time is, don't boost your posts, because essentially, say you spend £5-10 boosting, it's just completely untargeted. You can spend 2 or 3 hours learning the basics on YouTube. Yeah. Like the basics, and chuck out your best content. £5-10 a day, and the ad account will actually learn, as opposed to the boosting, which is just it's good in a sense, but
is it a good money maker for Meta?
Very good, basically. Very good for Meta.
I mean, it always for Meta.
But essentially, they probably prefer you to use the actual ads manager, because you'll see results, and you'll end up then using it for longer. So
They released their earnings, didn't they? I think yesterday.
Did they?
They're like up 30% of yeah.
Oh my word.
That's from people boosting their
That's
posts.
from Slow Love Miss. Ah, well, I mean, I feel like I learnt quite a lot of stuff in that, considering that I'm
Yeah, we never
a
know
bit
to
of a
speak, do we?
novice. Yeah,
We just ignore each other most of the
yeah,
time.
crack jokes at each other. I've got a would you rather.
Oh, let's hear it. I'm so pumped.
Would you rather?
Is this going to be like relevant to the...
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
No.
How am I surprised?
Would you rather spend an entire month with me and Holly? You're allowed to see Abby in that time as well, but we are literally sharing a house. We've just got 4 single beds in one room, so you're literally working with us every day, living with us every day for a month, or spend an entire month with no contact with Abby.
So this depends on a few things.
Okay.
Are you two going to be...
Naked.
We are.
Are you two... Basically, you're going to be weirdos.
I mean,
Fine weirdo.
absolutely yes. We're not going to follow you to the toilet. I mean,
Yeah, see, this is...
we
Which wouldn't be the
went
first time.
with us to Devon. And he wasn't going to drink, do you remember? And you were like, you're going to open that bottle.
Yeah, if anyone knows me, that's not like a shot.
Yeah, that's
No,
what
and we
that's
were
a
like
regular occurrence.
5 bottles of wine in, and then these two had a really heated debate about football. And then Ben basically was like, "Can you do a push-up?" And it was like, it was
so
fun.
silly.
Yeah.
It was so silly. Yeah. So we're not
Guys
gonna.
walking on him
We're
on
not
the shower.
gonna. Yeah, we're not gonna shower with you, but we are all together.
Absolutely.
We're all together. We are all sharing. We're all in 4 single beds in 1 bedroom at night time. So hanky panky is probably off the cards with Abby.
Well, okay, do I have to see her in said house then?
Yeah, she's with us as well.
Oh, okay.
But maybe not for the entire month. There'd be like occurrences where Abby's just not there. But you do get to see Abby.
Hey, that's fine, yeah. Let's go for that option.
So you'd rather spend an entire month with us.
I don't mind you guys that much, really.
Done. It's a deal. Let's make it happen.
That would actually be sick.
That would be
that
fun.
would- no, it wouldn't.
Would be sick.
Ben has just basically confirmed that this is happening. We're moving in.
Also, the size of the house. That is a big
Your
variable.
house. We're moving into your house.
Yeah.
We're moving into your
cool.
house.
We'd be under each other's feet a little bit then, wouldn't we?
That's the point.
You would even get 4 beds in the bedroom.
Yeah, we would. Some blow up mattresses on the floor would be
It'd
grand.
be cool. It would basically be one room, would just be a giant bed.
Yeah. It would be like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Alright,
Be
my
Cha-
choice changes then.
It would be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Yeah. Be around Abby and nice, that's right.
No.
What a wholesome way to end. Eh?
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on, Pring-a-ling-a-ding-dong.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Ben.
having me.